You know, in professional golf, tournament golf on the PGA Tour, it is about hitting. It's a hitting contest. You need to drive the ball well, you have to hit irons well, you have to get yourself a lot of opportunities. But with that being said, you do have to be proficient in short game and putting. So spend your time getting comfortable and confident in your short game and in your putting, and you will see your scores improve. I'm David Duval, and this was my short game special.
Golf Channel Academy, presented by Bushnell.
Welcome to Golf Channel Academy. I'm your host, Charlie Reimer. Thrilled to be at the Ritz-Carlton Golf Club, Orlando, Florida, with my former teammate at Georgia Tech, also former #1 in the world, David Duval. David, you want to talk short game, or do you want to talk some Georgia Tech football?
Well, rivalry weekend was just not so long ago. Maybe we should talk about that first.
Yeah, let's give them on three. 1, 2, 3. To hell with Georgia. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. But, you know, this show is going to focus on short game. And I was scratching my head when I heard that because you and I have known each other for over 20 years. Yeah. And we played a lot of golf together. And it was about 5 years before I ever even saw you chip because you hit so many greens. But I know you've got so many strong feelings on the golf swing, also short game. Let's just jump right into it and talk the basic fundamentals of pitching.
I want it to be as simple as possible. I think a player shouldn't be trying too many things. Your first objective is get on the green. Start putting. Around here, players get a little anxious, so let's get onto the green first. Anytime I'm pitching the ball, chipping the ball, the first thing I'm trying to do is get the leading edge of the club underneath the radius of the golf ball. So pretty simple. I could show you. That's how you can start to control height, the trajectory, and the distance. So here's the leading edge. I'm trying to get it under there. So now I can use the bounce of the golf club and have a consistent hit and strike on the pitch.
Bounce is something that people just don't understand. We throw that term around a lot. What's your definition of bounce?
Well, it's basically how much kind of a pitch off of the front to the back of the sole of the golf club. And I want to be perfectly clear. Bounce is your friend. This is my 58, and this has 17 degrees of bounce on it. So whenever I'm around here, I just try to get a feel for the turf and then get the ball just up in the air in a consistent fashion onto the green. And as much as anything, I've always tried to get the ball rolling. Unless you're in a situation where you have to get up in the air and you're thinking about stopping it quickly, just like a putt, get the ball rolling as quickly as you can because it's a lot easier to consistently control the distance of your strike and how far the ball goes out as opposed to flying it.
Let's talk basic setup for hitting a pretty simple pitch like this. Walk me through your thought process.
Well, I'm on an upslope, so it's probably going to come off a touch higher. So I'm trying to figure out where the ball's going to land and how much it's going to roll out. And you do that basically kind of with, you know, if I hit it this high off the ground, it's going to roll more than if I hit it this high off the ground, you know. And so I'm trying to figure out what height I'm going to hit and then get that additional rollout to get up next to the hole.
How would someone at home try and hit a shot on that trajectory?
The ball tends to, for me, especially on a pitch like this, it's going to be back of center to maybe a little bit more towards your back foot, and really, I'm in some ways almost getting, not soling the club quite flat. I'm almost getting it up on the toe, and so it's just simple, just something like that, and now that's rolling out. And if you choose to kind of release it a little bit quicker, a little bit higher, it's going to come off a touch more in the air.
Because you're adding loft to it quicker.
Correct. And that's where I want the player at home to understand that you can hit this shot with a lot of different golf clubs on the different trajectories, and you got to figure out what you're most comfortable with, because consistency and saving shots around the green is about not making the mistakes, not bellying this across the green, getting up there and giving yourself a chance to putt and make the putt for par, make the putt for bogey, and save those shots.
Now, you mentioned you carry 2 wedges. That's a 58. You said you also carry a 52?
53. It moves around a little bit from 53 to 54, but basically 53.
Would you show us a couple with that so we can maybe see the difference in the trajectory?
This is a 53. This one has about 18 degrees of bounce. Typically, it's going to, because of the loft, is going to come out a little bit lower, but it's going to be the same type motion. With this one, you're going to have to get it closer to the edge of the green to get it to run more, because that's what's going to happen. But you can still open it up if you had to and get a little more height and get under it. But the same type of thing, I'm just still trying to get it here and get the club underneath the golf ball. And it's hard to do that when you're pulling. This is, we're off the green a little bit now. If we're up on next to the green, you're hitting a little bumper run, you might have more of a kind of putting stroke motion. But here, you're having to release the golf club at some point to hit this shot. So the softer you can get your hands and the more you can get your hands just kind of working underneath each other, you're going to figure out that it's easy at that point to get the leading edge under and then feel the back of the ball.
Well, David, great start. And the folks at home, don't go anywhere, because we got plenty more coming your way. We're going to get in the bunker. We're going to get up on the green. We're going to get into putting. All with David Duval, former #1 ranked player in the world. That's coming up next on Golf Channel Academy. Welcome back to Golf Channel Academy. Still with us, former champion golfer of the year. Does it ever get old hearing that?
No. You can say it again if you like.
Champion golfer of the year, David Duval. David, I'm going to put you through a scenario here. Let's pull the ball over. And you've been doing this since you could walk. You're out playing around the golf. You walk up, and you see a ball sitting there. You got a flag stick that's cut just over a bunker.
Yeah.
You pull out the club, and you hit the shot. But there's a lot that happens. So take that time period from the time you've seen this shot and you're sort of breaking it down and stretch it out a little bit and tell me all of the things that you're considering, and then maybe we'll get into the technique a little bit, because there's a lot going on there that you might not even be aware of.
Well, there is, and that's the thing, the advantage the players you see on television and tournament golf have. They've been doing this forever. And so they react. They walk up and simply react to what they see in front of them. But that's from years and years of hitting these shots, thousands upon thousands of balls. Can't be the same thing for the player at home. They have to figure out and actually have a mental process of figuring out what they need to do right now, because all of a sudden we have a lot more intimidating shot than we had earlier. We have to go over a bunker, a little bit of fringe, fairly tight pin of maybe 18, 20 feet. This is just trouble. The tournament player walks up and doesn't even see this right in front of him. It's just, okay, I just pitch it up there, the ball's gonna stop within 4 or 5 feet, and off we go, I make my par. You know, the little pitch shots around the green, you might be a little more towards the back of your stance here, okay? It might move kind of more into the middle or up, okay? We're on a little bit of an upslope, so what does that mean? We have some added loft already. So you don't have to get fancy, just kind of square it up. If you want to toe it open just slightly, no problem with that. But then make sure you have a good kind of smooth acceleration. And certainly a lot of this comes from practice and hitting the shots.
And the practice swings are really important in a situation like this.
Well, it is, because you know what? That helps you understand what the turf feels like underneath the ball as much as anything, and it gives you a good gauge of kind of how hard you need to hit this shot. But I'm still have the same kind of thought process and fundamentals. I still want to get the leading edge underneath that golf ball, because that removes any type of bellying of the golf ball. And then I'm going to use the back of the golf club to bounce. So it takes the practice of, okay, now we're getting the feel of the height, the feel of the hit.
Let's change scenarios now. They got up high and soft, had some spin on it. We got a flag on the other side of the green. I'm going to assume you're going to grab a different wedge out of the bag, or am I wrong?
No, that's a good point, because you know what? The shot becomes harder now if I keep this club in my hands, because I'm going to have to fly it most of the distance to the hole. So certainly in a situation where I have a good 40 feet to the next hole where the ball can run out, I am quickly going to put that club back in the bag.
That's 58 going in the bag. 53 is coming out.
So now I can, in essence, hit a pitch shot. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about flying it most of the distance to the hole. I can just grab the club and hit more of a pitch shot and get it running. From here, now, we're going to hit it probably close to the distance to the first hole and just let it go. And let it run out to the next hole.
Yeah, very different action, as we get a good result there. I noticed that in the release, there's a little bit different release action with the shorter one versus the longer one. the back of the left hand? Are you trying to roll it a little bit more, release it a little bit more, cup it a little bit less? What's going on with that actual action in your chipping motion?
Well, if anything, on the more of the pitch motion, I'm still going to release, as I've talked about, but I'm gonna want maybe to happen a touch later. Okay, so it keeps the loft more natural. I'm not adding any type of loft. So I'm going to try to, where I'm hitting it up in the air, I could even hit to this first hole here and release it from behind a little bit like that, and it's going to pop up in the air.
Even with the 53?
That's the 53.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I want to release it maybe a little bit, so my hands might be a touch forward.
A little more shaft lean.
To get it popping and running out, but I'm still going to get it pitched and releasing that way. A lot of what I talk about with release, though, is also you have to get it kind of squared up into the back of the ball. If I'm hitting a flop shot, certainly you're going to see a lot more of a flip where you see some of these massive high soft flops players hit in tournament golf. On the pitches, it's more of a popping almost in there, but there is a bit of a release.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. I just like the variety of shots you can play with what looks like a swing that doesn't change very much. Well, folks, stick around with us on Golf Channel Academy. Coming up, in fact, I hope you got some sunscreen because we're going to get slathered up and we're going in the bunker right here. That's next on Golf Channel Academy. So you remember Chris Cupid at Tech?
Well, I remember everything you told me. It was, this is his favorite drill.
He never finished it. So what you gonna do? You gonna put down 8 tees?
Yeah, it's just something simple we always did, and our coach was adamant about it. Now we come into a situation in the bunker where we got a longer shot across the green. Again, like pitching the golf ball, don't be afraid to grab a different golf club. That way you're not going to have to manipulate your movements and techniques too much. You're just taking loft off the golf club. That's going to help the golf ball get going further across the green out of this bunker. Similar type setup. You're just going to get in and get comfortable. Make sure you get in behind the ball somewhere. Maybe open up the blade a little bit, but then just go ahead and hit it and accelerate. Let the club with less loft do the work. That way it comes out lower and it's going to be rolling. You don't have to take a big, massive swing at the golf ball, something that you see the players doing when they have hours and hours of practice, but the player at home doesn't have that time. So just get in, take the same type swing, and let the ball and the club just go across the green.
Right now, let's talk fundamentals. Talk to me a little bit, David, about the grip that you use with a putter.
Really try the best I can to get it going up underneath the pad of my left thumb and my left hand, kind of get it going up this way between the pads of your, and get it lightly in these fingers. Like everybody, mine tends to go down a little bit, and that's where the pressure starts changing. But as long as you don't get it underneath this other pad, I think you can have success.
And if you have that putter in that lifeline, when your grip pressure changes, and it does for everybody, that's going to stabilize that club face.
If you put it in the lifeline, and I'm squeezing the putter now with my fingers, okay? You can see the face barely moving. Put it underneath the pad and start squeezing it, and look at that face now. Okay, that's why the players tend to try to get it going up their lifeline. Putters, they can't move really now at this point. Then I just grab it. I don't overlap or anything. I just kind of grab it in these fingers, try to pay attention, trying to get it kind of going up the middle of the fingers. And basically from that point, just closing it up. If anything, I want my right hand turned a little bit this way just to help promote a little bit of opening and closing of the blade as I stroke the putt.
Let's talk a little bit about your stance, address position with a putter. Where are you with ball position, and where are you with weight distribution?
Well, you know, we're sitting here at 4 feet, 5 feet, and it's basically the same for me on every putt. But what's 7, 8 inches between my feet, and I try to pay attention to the ball staying somewhere just inside my heel. For me, as a player, it's tended to kind of move forward. I do like to have my weight a little bit on my left side so that with that ball position, I'm on top of the ball. So I monitor that with simply a club at times. I'll just lay down a club and put it there and hit some putts. Weight distribution, again, is, if anything, I'm just more kind of 60-40 on the left, just trying to get myself kind of towards my target to help the putter stay down and just flow through the putt.
In terms of drills, the thing that I've always admired the most about your putting stroke is you've always had wonderful acceleration. And there's a real simple drill that you've used going back, I know since your freshman year at Georgia Tech, because I saw you do it then, but probably since you're 12, 13 years old. Walk me through that drill.
Yeah, you know, I don't know exactly where it came from, who taught it to me, where they learned it. But again, trying to keep things simple. The purpose of setting up consistently, monitoring ball positioning, monitoring eye line, is to try to roll the ball. The best success you can have in putting is rolling the ball consistently. When I don't feel like I'm rolling it well, I'll just set up to putts like this and I'll hit, who knows, maybe 50 of them. And it just goes.
Just pushing it.
Just pushing the ball. Just kind of, and it's not, I don't even want to use the word push. I'm just trying to roll the ball off of the face of the putter. When you do that, you get a good feel of actually accelerating through.
Well, just like I've always seen you do for over 20 years, I noticed that hole is filling up. He hadn't missed one of them. David, great stuff. Stick around with us, folks. Plenty more coming on Golf Channel Academy. We're going to stay on the putting green with David Duval, former #1 ranked player in the world.
I was, if anything, fighting a little bit of a overcut that week. Didn't practice a lot, but I'd get loose before I played practice rounds, get loose before I played the tournament rounds. But I spent my time on the putting green on a chalk line. One of the simplest, most effective aids you can have in putting. It's just chalk line. Best I can recall, I missed 1, maybe 2 putts inside of 8 feet for the week, and I just attribute that to having such a clear vision of my lines that week because of the time I put in on the simplest tool you can get, a chalk line.
David Duval has done it. A major champion.
And so I just had utmost confidence in what I was doing in my stroke.
Welcome back to Golf Channel Academy. We're going to finish up our show with a couple of great but simple drills. At least this one.
It looks complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. We'll get to that one.
Not so much.
Yeah, we'll get to that one in a second. But first, you got a wonderful drill for developing a feel for distance. Walk me through that.
Very simple. We have a flag stick laid out. Typically, we use a fringe, but it's more about getting a distance of 20, 30 feet, 40 feet, and just trying to roll the golf ball up as close as you can to the flag stick, to the fringe, without hitting it. And that gives you a good feel in your hands and in your visual distance of the speed of the greens. It's pretty quite simple, nothing genius to it. But hitting 6 or 8 putts like this and trying to roll it right up, and even if you can get it to roll up and just barely kiss the flag stick, the fringe, you're going to develop tremendous feel for the speed of the greens you're playing that day.
Now then, 2 tees on each direction there. What's the goal here? What's this drill about?
Well, this is simply, I always viewed it as a way to get comfortable making the short putts. And this drill is about putting a little bit of pressure on yourself, a little bit of heat, because the way we always kind of did this drill through school and stuff was you could have 1 or 2 balls, always like 2, and you start at the first tee, make that, go back to the second tee, make that, then move over to the next place. Have to repeat the same, short, long, all the way. And go around once, well, good, you're a third of the way done. So you're trying to complete it 3 times, not quite as simple as it looks. You know, so this is just about being comfortable and making these little putts. It's amazing how much pressure you start to feel if you're 2.5 ways around and you get over to here, and we were talking about more often than not, it seems like it's the short one you miss because you know what? You stop paying attention.
And that's one of the most difficult things to do is put pressure on yourself when you're out practicing, right?
Well, there's no consequence to dumping a bag of balls in the bunker and hitting bunker shots. There's no consequence to having a bunch of balls here and putting and missing. You know, this is a way to somewhat simulate the pressures you're going to see on a golf course.
Okay, David, before we let you go, one other thing I was wanting you to go through for us. We talk about it all the time, how important a pre-shot routine is. Let's put you in this situation right here. You got this 3.5 footer.
Yep.
You got to make it. Let's say it's your last putt in this drill. Walk me through your pre-shot routine.
My pre-shot routine putting has pretty much always been the same for years and years and years. I've always, after I've read the putt, figured out what I want to do, I've always got up to it, been off to the side of the ball, looking at the hole, because I feel like that gives me the freedom in my stroke because I'm not looking down. And I would always just take a couple of practice strokes, move in, have a look, maybe have a second one, and fire away. People ask me,
Folks, you're not looking down at the ball. No. How important is that?
Well, I just feel like, again, that when you're standing here, the problem you have in golf is you're never visually target-oriented. You're typically looking down at the object you're trying to move towards the target, which is the golf ball. You have seen players, and heck, I've done it at times, where I'll get on these shorter putts and I'll get over it and I'll just hit them looking at the hole, you know? It's amazing how much success you can have because you start focusing on your target and not your method. I think we've seen Jordan Spieth do that a fair amount in tournament play. But it's very helpful, especially if you're over off to the side. Look at it because it really frees up and it gives you a natural reaction to the length and the acceleration of the stroke that you want. It's pretty simple.
Well, David, great stuff. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on Golf Channel Academy. We also need to thank our host here at Ritz-Carlton Golf Club Orlando. Great folks in a beautiful spot. And, of course, our viewers. We appreciate you guys being with us as well. And we'll see you next time on Golf Channel Academy.